and welcome back to Cotton Creation. So today I'm bringing you a DIY project, and actually this project I did like 3.5 years ago, way before I was even thinking about doing YouTube and creating YouTube content. So I had the pleasure of coordinating and event planning my best friend's wedding, and that came along with lots of DIY projects. So if you're interested in seeing how I created my best friend's his and her throne chairs for her wedding, please stay tuned. But before we hop into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more awesome videos. Let's hop into it. So before we hop into the actual tutorial, I just want to share a couple things with you guys. Like I said before, I did this project about 3.5 years ago. I hadn't even started my YouTube channel or thought about starting my YouTube channel, so I did not record any videos. I only have photos today for you guys, so it's going to be a photo tutorial. Unfortunately, I don't have photos of every single little detail, but I have photos of many of the steps, so I think that should do it and be enough. But yeah, so my best friend, it was an honor to be able to plan and coordinate her wedding. The area that she had her wedding in, unfortunately, is a very rural area. So, of course, in those areas, access to a lot of the like glamorous and flashy things and newer things that a lot of people have access to in bigger cities, we don't have access to in those areas. So that caused me to have to get in the lab and in my dad's garage and, create and build and do several DIY projects for her wedding. So this is one of them. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this tutorial of my best friend's wedding, his and her throne chairs. So I went to a local thrift store and I purchased 2 chairs. Here's the chair that I actually purchased. Nothing too fancy, but it was sturdy and stable. This is actually the chair that I preferred, with the nice little Victorian legs, but it wasn't sturdy and stable, and I didn't want anyone falling on their wedding day. So what I did is I went to Lowe's and I got 2 pieces of wood, one for the back and one for the seat. And I'm trying to remember what the measurements are. I'll drop them in the description box below. So the first thing that I did is I removed the original seat cushion from the chair, and then I'm going to sand the frame of the original chair and then spray paint it white so it matches the fabric. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the back of the chair. So that long piece of wood on the back, I'm going to work with that without it being on the chair, and then I'll reattach it, or not reattach, I'll attach it. So the first thing I do is I measure where I want my buttons to go to do the tufted look, and there's many tutorials out that will walk you through how to measure and what designs you can do. So you have to figure out what design you want. I wanted the diagonal diamond shaped designs. So then what I did is, once I have the marks of where I want the buttons to go, then I take a drill and I just drill through the wood. And then after that, I laid a piece of foam cushion on top, and from behind I take a marker and go through the holes all the way to the foam so that I can mark where on the foam the holes should be. And then what I did is I flipped it over so that those marks show right side up, and I'll circle them on the screen where you can still see I have a couple, like 3 marks that I haven't done anything with yet. And once I do that, I take some spray adhesive and spray down the wood and place that foam over top so that I can go ahead and let that dry, and it'll be sturdy enough for it not to move. And then what I do is I took a box cutter, or you can use scissors or whatever you have, and wherever you have those holes at, you want to do divots and dig out some of the foam, and that will help with when we do the tufting with the buttons. Otherwise, when you go to pull it on the backside, it makes it extremely difficult to get that tufted look if you don't take out some of the foam. So that's what you want to do with that. You'll notice that I did not take the foam all the way to the edge, and that's because you'll see later when I add the nail trim around it, I want it to raise out in part of it and then be flat to the wood on the rest of it. And you'll see later what I mean by that. But now that that is done, so now it's time to add the batting and the fabric. You want to make sure you have enough fabric that overlaps the edges of the wood so that you can staple it later. And it's better to have too much overlap than not enough. And now we can go ahead and start tufting with the buttons. What you want to do is take your button, take some thread, some heavy duty thread, upholstery thread actually, and I did like little zigzags, and I take my staple gun and I pull it real tight, and I staple it in one section and pull it down, staple it, and then pull the thread up and staple it in place to make zigzags so it's nice and tight. And this is what you should be looking like at this step. Now you'll notice that I have certain creases on the sides on one side that I don't have on the other. This was my very first chair building tufting project, but over time I've gotten a lot better with doing tufting. But as with anything, it takes time, takes practice. So the more practice you have, the better the outcome. Not only that, I was doing this project alone by myself. My family was at work at this time, so it would have been better and easier had I had a second pair of hands to hold things while I'm trying to staple on the backside. But yeah, that's what it was. So this is what it should start to look like on the backside with the staples. You want to pull everything nice and tight and staple it down. The corners of this chair are pretty they can be a bit challenging, but just overlap it and get as many staples in there so it's nice, tight, and secure as possible. Now it's time to add the nail trim, and I took the easy way out my first time and bought some upholstery nail trim from Joann's Fabric. It comes in a actual roll, and it's like every maybe 10 or 8 beads over, you actually have a nail that you nail in, and that's how it stays put. But they also sell individual one of these types of round nail heads at Home Depot and Lowe's and places like that. So if you wanted to do a different type of design, you didn't want them as close together, you could always buy the individual nail and just, you know, nail it in whatever spot you want it in. And I did that for another project, which I'll probably show you guys another time. But this is what it's looking like for the back part of the chair. So unfortunately, I don't have any photos of the steps that I used to do the new seat, but I do want to talk you through it. So the first thing I want to point out is that I wanted the edges, the corners of the seat to be rounded. So I did round that off and cut the wood so that it was rounded. And then what I did is I just simply took some more of that like turquoise colored foam, and I used the spray adhesive, sprayed that onto the wood, and I applied pressure and applied the cushion to the wood. And then once it was, you know, tacky enough and dry and not moving around, I just took my box cutter and just cut off the excess cushion. So I do want to point out one thing about the back part of the chair and the actual seat is on the back part of the chair, you don't want to take that foam all the way down to the bottom, because you want your seat to fit up into the back part. So you will notice you know, that top, the back part, the bottom part of the back of the seat, the cushion kind of stops a little high, and then it meets right where the cushion for the seat part goes. So once you have your cushion on there and you've cut the excess off, you want to take your batting and your fabric, and all you want to do is just pull it real tight and take that staple gun and staple it on the back side, and that's pretty much it. And then if you have some excess, you can cut that off. Alright, so now it's time to go ahead and attach our new back and our new seat to our original chair. So what you want to do is take some screws, and you want to go ahead and drill holes and screw it from the back of the original chair all the way through to the new back that we designed, and from the frame of the bottom where the seat was into the new seat cushion. And that's how we're going to attach that, and then we'll be able to cover the back side as well as underneath the seat. So I'll show you guys that in the next step. So you can go ahead and make sure that your batting is stapled down on all sides, and then after that what we're going to do is I like to start at the top part of the new back, and it's better if you take like a nice sturdy piece of cardboard and cut a straight edge and measure that out. And you want to take the fabric and that piece of cardboard, and you want to staple it across the top part of it, and then that way your fabric will hang just like it is in this photo. And once you have it attached to the top part, what you're going to do is fold around the edges, and I used some more nail trim, and I just went around the down the sides with the nail trim and attach it that way. So you just want to tuck that fabric under so you have a nice crease, and just go straight down until it's attached. And then you want to go ahead and attach and staple the bottom piece underneath of the frame of the chair. And here's the finished results, and I'll show you guys photos from the wedding day so you kind of have a perspective of, you know, how tall the backs of these are. But they definitely were a showstopper. All right, so please let me know what you think of this video. I'm curious to know if you guys are interested in more videos like this. I know a lot of my other DIY projects are centered more around like centerpieces for events and things like that. But if you're interested in like more building and upholstery and things like that, let me know, because I can definitely incorporate a few more of these types of tutorials. But if you like this video, you know what to do. Give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell so you know when I post. Thanks for watching. Oh, you want to know where I got the sweatshirt? Auntie Tabitha Brown. So she came out with a new line of merch, and the Like So Like That is one of those pieces. So, you know, I had to support. She also featured one of my products on her Very Good Monday episodes recently. So, you know, Black Queens supporting Black Queens. That's what it's all about. So nonetheless, if you want it, head on over to Tabitha Brown's website. I'll drop it in the description box below. And yeah.